What's up, Honey Badger Nation? What's going on? It's Holly Kitchens here, filling in for John on this episode of Expert Mentors. And I am not going to lie, I'm super excited to be filling in on this one because our guest today is an absolute powerhouse. I'm talking about the one, the only Michelle Humes. Welcome, girl. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm great, Holly. How are you today?
Oh my gosh, doing fantastic. Looking forward to really talking to you. I know that you're kind of one of those underdog stories that I love hearing about because obviously you're a badass, but you weren't just like, hey, here I am dominating the real estate industry. You are actually put in the work, and I'd love to hear about it. So before we get into your story, your journey, lessons learned, and all that awesome stuff, can you give everyone a quick introduction of like your marketplace?
Great substitute. So I know we're going to have a lot of fun. I came to EXP 2 years ago with a team of around 10. And I have been in the industry about 6 years. So I started the team 3 years ago when I really was at capacity and wanted to have leverage and really wanted to show other people what I had done in a pretty short amount of time and grow through that. And so this year we're on pace to do about 125 million. And when we came to EXP, we did 34-ish million that year. So before we came to EXP, so that's just shows you our growth in that amount of time. And what was the other? Yeah, with a team, we have a much bigger team now and have expanded quite a bit. And yeah, finishing out this will be our 4th year as a team, which is a completely different ball game than being an individual agent, but it's been an incredible journey of growth for me as a leader and just our agents as well. It's just been a really exciting, sometimes bumpy and turbulent ride. It's like flying the airplane while you're building it. So
100%. And what you are in Atlanta, correct?
Yes, that's what I was asking.
Yes,
we're in South Atlanta. So we work the whole metro South Atlanta. We are known in my hometown of Peachtree City, Georgia, for being the golf cart capital of the world and home to a lot of Delta employees and actually the largest movie studio in Fayette County outside of California in the entire world. So that's actually been a very interesting piece of our business, bringing the movies here and really just a lot of fun to meet a lot of interesting people as well.
I bet that. So, one thing that's super impressive with you, I will say is, a lot of people, not a lot. I mean, we meet a lot of people who are super successful and they have some kind of background of maybe they were this beforehand or in sales or whatever. So to kick this episode off, I'd love for you to share what you were doing before real estate and then your journey of how you got into real estate. Because I think that's super inspiring to hear you, not only as someone with that background, like, oh, I have been in car sales for 20 years or anything like that, but then also as a woman too, because I just feel like as women in this industry, we can kind of be, oh, that's cute. Now sit down and let the guys take control. So can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah. So I actually, I'm a singer. I was classically trained and at the University of Georgia, go Dogs. And I met my husband there, who also is a singer. He was actually the professional hired in to sing the student production that I was like a little small part, and he was the star of the show. And so I intended always to use my singing degree to teach music. And that is what I did. I became a high school teacher in my hometown. But right after I met him and started teaching, we had this wild idea. After never living in the same town with him, we dated long distance. We got married and I moved to Manhattan. So I quit my teaching job and we were off to the big city. I thought it was so exciting. Well, we had not been there 6 weeks. And he gets a call from his manager saying, I want you to come audition in Munich, Germany. There is a job that you can take for the next 2 years. And it was a real career building moment. And I thought, oh, go take the audition, like no big deal. Well, he got the job. And long story short, we moved to Munich a month later with 2 suitcases each. We sold everything and we did not come back until 6 years ago. So we were gone to Europe for 12 years. So I had spent, up until I got into real estate, I spent 12 years traveling. We had our first baby overseas. We got pregnant with our second baby over there. And so I had spent many, many years. What I didn't know then that I know now was selling his career in opera. I didn't know I was good at sales. I'd been a school teacher. And so when it was time for us to have our second baby, I said, 700 square feet's cute and all, but I'm not German. My parents are in the States. I want to move home. And so he was going to continue to travel anyway, like he did all around the world. And so we did. We moved home, but my teaching license had lapsed. Mm-hmm. And so I was on the phone with my girlfriend and she was like, she's a coupon clipper. And she says, oh my gosh, there is a Groupon for a real estate license. You should get your real estate license. You'd be so good at that. You're always into investments and you're real good with money. And, you love to talk to people. You love strangers. It's $200. You should get a real estate license. And so I was 6 months pregnant. I registered for the class. We moved home 2 weeks later. I got my real estate license and pretty much the rest is history. That was 6 years ago. I gave birth 2 months later to a sweet baby girl. My husband left again for Italy. He was off the next year for 10 months. He was gone. Oh, so wow. When there's any mom watching this or somebody that really thinks, how am I ever going to do this career? I am living proof. You can have a career. You can have kids. It doesn't come without sacrifice, but it can happen because that was my life. I was living in my parents' basement 6 years ago with a 4-year-old and a brand new baby. So that's how I got where I am today. And it's been a wild ride, real wild.
It sounds like it. You go from Germany to Atlanta to stay-at-home or teacher to stay-at-home mom to rock star real estate agent. And that's what I really loved about your story is like, you don't have the typical, I came from sales and I just applied those techniques to my career in real estate. You're like, wait a minute, I've been selling my entire life. I just didn't know that I was selling my husband's career. So I love that about you, that you picked that up. So let's talk about the transition. So you were at a previous brokerage. You said 30 million was your production and now you're at 120. So that's huge increasement of production.
Yes.
Looking back and lessons learned, what would you say for somebody who is at the point where you were at when you're at 30 million? I guess before I finish this question, let me ask you real quick. Did you have a team at that point or was it just you?
That was the first year we had a team. We did 34 million as an individual agent. My last year in individual production, which was 17, I did 18 or 19 million. And then the first year we had a team, we did 34 million, which was the year before we came to EXP.
Love that. So, when you started the team, I guess I'll start off with this question. When you started your team, what were some big lessons learned when it comes to culture, core values, allowing people to come in and then when to cut them out whenever they start to get cancerous to the group?
Wait, how much time do we have? Just kidding. I think any result, good, bad, and different of a team or organization, any company is all a result of leadership. And I knew I had it in me to be a leader, but I didn't know what that meant. And so the culmination of where we're at as a team today versus where we were when the year we sold 34 million, it's a completely different team.
Yeah.
And I'm the same person. I'm the same me. You'll find me singing before our team meetings. You'll find me, I'm fun and have energy and I still have that same energy. But it's a completely different ballgame. Mm-hmm. And I think part of that, and if anyone's watching that is starting a team and feels, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do because you're a baby leader, right? I was a baby leader when we started this team. And I would say it's okay that you're not proven yet. Sometimes now when something happens and maybe somebody doesn't like a decision I make on our team, I have the confidence to say, but I believe so strongly in our core values and what we're doing here that it's okay if that doesn't align with them anymore. They can move on, right? Because we're proven. And there is a level of confidence that comes with that. And as a new team leader, you don't feel that same confidence and you feel this unnerving pressure like that. And your other realtors are watching you and thinking, is she going to fail? Is she going to make a mistake? And you're in the spotlight. And so the journey from even just 3 years ago to today has been very hard. I will not lie. I mean, it is not for the faint of heart to run a business. It's not for the faint of heart to have a team. And because there is turnover, there's always going to be turnover. And as you really understand who you are as a person and what your core values are, the right people start showing up. See, I wasn't clear on that in the beginning, and that's on me. I wasn't clear. And I think any single team leader that watches this will think the same exact thing. Because you're a great salesperson doesn't mean you're clear on your core values and how to put those out and say them every single day, right? And so that journey has been painful at times. I mean, other times it's just amazing. You know, the growth we've had, I'm just so proud. I'm so proud of our agents. I'm so proud of the team, the reputation that we have, and the real client care that we give. But, you know, behind the scenes, when you're at home and you're drawing a bath and having a glass of wine, you're thinking, gosh, this is a lot of pressure. And yet every iteration of our team has just been so exciting. And the things I didn't know then that I know now, I wish I could say to myself, hey, it's going to be okay, because once this happens, then, you know, this great, right when you think you should give up because it gets tough, is typically the moment where it's like breakthrough. Here we are.
100%. I love that, because we get at this point where we almost fold under pressure because we start thinking, is it even worth this? Why are we even doing this in the first place? That's where I think people, like true entrepreneurs, are made. When you know you just got to keep taking that next step, day at a time, baby steps at a time. Because once you stop, I think you're like, you might be one step closer to reaching that breakthrough or whatever it is that stress is put on for you.
Absolutely. And I think entrepreneurs, or people who think they want to be entrepreneurs, make a mistake. I've made the mistake. If you're waiting for someone to tell you, awesome job, man, you are such a great entrepreneur, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur, because that is not what you do it for. And certainly team leader is the exact same way. I mean, I describe having this team in the business. It is a business, living, breathing, growing thing. And, you know, every single moment where I think, oh, I'm going to not have discipline in this area of my life in this moment, it will show up in my business. Yeah. Every single time. And so, yeah, there's a lot of pressure, but there's also a lot of reward. The biggest reward comes from seeing what the folks on the other side of this wall get to do day in and day out. It's fun.
I love that. That's so awesome. I love seeing your passion, not only for obviously yourself in real estate, but for your team as well. Yeah. And so what would you say is a big reason why you went from 30 to 120 in production?
That's a really good question. I would say, number one, we aligned at EXP with the right people. And I have never seen, I've said this on every single podcast I've been on, hate it, love it, indifferent to it, don't understand it, the model of EXP. There is no other place in the world where an agent, no matter if we have financial alignment, will allow me into their business to show me how to do something better, faster, quicker. The collaboration at EXP is undeniable. And it's going to be very hard for you to find someone who doesn't love to collaborate. I just made a YouTube video about this, and it was the pros and cons, or who should and who shouldn't join EXP. Well, if you don't love collaboration, it's really not the place for you. Collaboration, growth-minded, these are things that describe a big part of how we have been able to scale very quickly. And I would say the second piece to that is I have always had really incredible coaches. I have always had coaches that probably at the moment I couldn't afford or shouldn't afford according to people and their budgets and profit and loss. And yet I had multiple of them, because I believe so strongly in aligning with people who have done it better, who've proven themselves. Having a coach in every single area of your life, in my opinion, is crucial, whether it's your health, fitness, real estate, personal 100%. Development.
I love that. You know, and you're so spot on too. When it comes to EXP, it's just like any other brokerage, any other franchise, insert whatever word here you want to say about places. You know, obviously we're EXP, we're in the same group, so we're raving fans of it. But I mean, unfortunately, I've met some EXP people who had a terrible experience because they were left on an island. Yeah. And And that's why I tell, conversations I have with anybody, I'm like, hey, it's just like any other place. It's all about the group that you get plugged into. And, within the Honey Badger Nation, I mean, I see it all the time. People ask a question and bam, you get responses right away. People ask for, postcard campaigns. Bam, here's a swipe and deploy my postcard campaigns. And it's people too, like not necessarily we're in the same group. They might not even be in the same downline of the legs, but it's still the abundance, the cultivating of abundance mindset versus scarcity. Because I looked at the stats and I can't remember what it is, but it's like 500 billion or something crazy number of homes were sold last year. There's no way that you as a real estate agent can handle all those move-ins in the area or in nationwide, let alone in your area. So I think that that's, really good thing to have when coming into any kind of group, whether EXP, KW, wherever, is you have to understand, am I aligning with this culture? Am I aligning with this value? Because that does collapse time. I mean, like you had just said, like a huge part you feel like that contributed to that success was being in an environment where people are just willing to share and help you out wherever you're at in your business.
Absolutely.
I love that. So now when it comes to your team, obviously, you know a little bit about success in team building just from your proven track record. What is your current, if you don't mind sharing, what is your current hiring process? Do you take them through the process? Do you have both team as well as downline? I would love to hear how your business is set up.
Sure. So I prematurely hired a fantastic director of sales. Our numbers at the beginning of this year. So last year we did, to put it in perspective, 65 million.
Got it.
In total production. And then that was our first year at EXP. And so according to those numbers, and really when you run the numbers, I really wasn't in a position to afford a director of sales. Yeah. But I had a tire salesman show up here and he became our rookie of the year and he kept bringing ideas forward. And that is so important. When you identify talent in your organization, someone that's pushing you, the leader, gosh, listen, be open, because by all things on paper or anybody looking at it, kind of like people look at me, by all normal standards, what I'm doing, it's not special what we're doing, but it's just not always normal to have the track that we've been on. Yeah. A lot of people at my former brokerage thought I was crazy for wanting to build this massive movement of agents, and that's okay. It just meant that we were, I always say this, people can choose to think big, people can choose to think small. We choose to think big. And so the tire salesman shows up and he's been to every brokerage and he tells me he knows all about sales. And anyway, this is Steven, my director of sales. So I hired him in January to help me because we were at a point, we had about 25-ish agents at the time. I have leadership agents in place that hold other agents accountable. We definitely have that all in place, but I felt the need to have another set of a leader that could help me in the hiring process, just to go faster. You know, that thing, like, if you want to go fast, I don't even know the saying.
Go alone. If you want to go further, go together or something.
Go together. So here we are. We've got this guy that shows up. So he now helps me. He's strategic in getting people onboarded. What I think is so cool about that, and this is for team leaders, it's so nice when you can finally get to that point that you have someone else that validates and shows what team culture is and believes in it so much, just like you do, to be able to show that to a recruiter or a potential agent that wants to join, and to be so crystal clear on what your standards are. So we go through the entire process of what standards we have in our organization. Honestly, we don't have a ton. I think there's a lot of teams that probably are much more stringent than us, but I tend to attract moms or even dads that are the caregiver of their child. So I want to make sure that we have a real abundant mindset around that, because why are we selling all this real estate if we can't enjoy our families? So he and I together partner in that. We bring them in. And the number one way I know if someone's going to be a fit for our culture, we ask them first, and this is a really great step, they come to our team meeting. Because I can sit at the team meeting and teach, and teaching is what I love to do most. Yep. And I watch faces and I watch the interaction, and you will always hear me say at our team meeting, introduce yourself to someone else, because who likes to be new? Nobody likes being new. Nobody likes being the new kid in the classroom. And so the collaboration starts there. And then the agents talk about what the team means and what the team does, and they're selling the team. And then at every team meeting, I say, who are you co-oping with? Know an agent like you, because we're looking to partner with people just like you sitting here. And you know what that does? It's very interesting. It attracts the right kind of people, and it actually repels people that don't align with that don't align with community, that don't align with, let's do what's best for the team over maybe what's best for me in this situation. So we talk a lot of culture is big driving factor in our organization, but it's nothing we say.
Yeah.
It's what you see when you come here.
100%. I love that. And, now, do you invite them to the team before you
Yes.
offer them? Obviously, the team meeting before you offer them. I love that.
Yeah.
And you're so spot on. I'm just speaking as past experience from being on Jay's team as a team member. And I remember when there was poison in the office, producing agent, top agent, but they couldn't share, they couldn't play well with others in the sandbox. And you could tell, you can cut the tension with a knife in the team meetings. And those people do find themselves out the door because they just don't fit. It's just uncomfortable and then just no one enjoys it. But I think that's so awesome to hear that you offer that as a part of it. Like, hey, come in and join in. Now, what kind of body signals or body language are you looking for as you're teaching and watching these invites to the team meeting?
I watch what happens. So I always introduce myself because I pride myself on making sure people are comfortable in any situation, whether I'm at a party or I'm running the team meeting. And so the first thing we do is our staff greets all of our agents and guests at the front. They stand at the front and greet them. We play really loud music. I should have brought a clapper in here. It's like those plastic things that they scream and cheer when the agents walk in, because our staff, their customer is our agent. We command high splits. We command a lot of things, and we better have a staff that is going to just absolutely be here to partner with our agents. We all know without a staff, we can't have this team. Without agents, we can't have a staff. So it's very reciprocal. And, but I want to make sure that they know that the staff's here for them. So I watch that. I watch the interactions, and I could be wrong. I mean, out of 10 agents you hire, 3 or 4 may work out, 5, even if you're doing really well. And, 2 maybe rock stars. I would think that'd be a great conversion. But I'm watching to see, are they excited? Are they nodding their head? I can tell if I'm making eye contact with them. Is what I'm saying making sense? Now, a lot of times if we even invite unlicensed people, so, we get into the nitty gritty of negotiating a deal. Sometimes they're lost, and that's okay. But we always know if they show back up that they want to hear more. So that's what I would say. I think that having people at your team meeting and being open to that is super important, not only in the recruiting or agent attraction, but just in leadership in general for our community, to know that, like, even our agent partners that aren't on our team, they're always welcome, because we want to help them succeed too. We want to sell their listings. We want to collaborate with them.
I love it. That's so awesome. Now, you do have a fantastic appearance there in the Atlanta market. I'd love to hear, just because my branding creative side, what are you currently doing to kind of brand yourself and to differentiate yourself in the market there in South Atlanta? Because Atlanta is huge, but you have a fantastic appearance, like I had said, there within the brand awareness in the community.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to find you a picture. I love unique marketing. Now, we do all the normal marketing. We are around Pandora. We're on, we do a lot of marketing. In fact, I think we probably spend more on our advertising than maybe the MREA suggests. So that is a huge deal, because the more you spend on marketing, the more market share you're going to have, right? Done the right way. Yeah. But I love unique marketing. So because I was a school teacher, we do a lot of community outreach with our teachers. And I'm trying to find you the picture. I will have it in just a second. And the next best thing we do, well, this might be the best thing to do. Are you gonna be able to see this? That's an ice cream van.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
That's a Japanese import Daihatsu 1991 right-hand drive that is like an ice cream cone. And we deliver ice cream all summer to community pools, to apartment complexes. That was actually advertising back to school planning for the teachers. We went to many, many schools and took ice cream to all the teachers. It's not about if they're going to buy or sell a house with us. It's making an impact on your community, which is super important to me. So that's, I think, how we differentiate ourselves a lot, is anytime I can figure out some way to have someone remember us, to me, that's like gold. and so much more about branding and marketing than me, but I just like that.
I love that. And, that's always been a good foundation. Even I'm thinking back in Lawton and Jay Kinder Real Estate Experts, that was one thing that we were always priding ourselves on, as well as community events. Mm-hmm. I know that they had like a raving fan night where people would come and watch a movie on the house type thing. So really incorporating that. And, I know Jay was very heavily involved in the Chamber of Commerce. Are you involved in any kind of associations like that as well? Or you just kind of take it up, just do your own thing with the branding like that?
That I have served as the PTO president. I'm not this year. Whew, praise.
I bet.
It's a big job. It's like a full-time job by itself. No, I've been PTO president. I served on the superintendent's council as well for our county, for the school system, just having been a prior. Anytime they ask me to serve on a committee, I always serve. And I actually serve as an ambassador locally in Atlanta for an organization called Wellspring Living, which goes to fight human trafficking. So that's actually schools and fighting trafficking in Atlanta, which is unfortunately very prevalent, are my two big things that I'm involved with. If it's not those two things, I tend to say no, because for every yes, I have to say a lot more no's, because there's only so much time in the day. But those two things and the involvement in those two organizations bring plenty of awareness around our brand and, getting out in the community. I think that's really important. And I align with that. I align with helping children. And both of those things do. I align with teachers because I just have a real heart for teachers. Teachers make, humbly speaking, the best realtors, the nurses. And so, that's where I want to spend my time. And commerce, other things, not so much. If they ask me to come and speak, I certainly will go speak, but I'm not a regular attender of anything else besides those two things, which I'm really, really committed to. And also, as far as, because a lot of people ask, will you donate to this and that and the other? We donate a lot of different places. And those are the two aspects of where we try to make our focus.
And that's what I love for anyone listening. And if you guys can have just one takeaway from the many that you guys have already should have gotten from Michelle is, find your niche, find what you're actually passionate about. Obviously with you, it's teaching, it's teachers, it's community. And then it all leads back to the school system. I mean, I know moving to Oklahoma, I didn't care. I mean, I kind of cared what the house looked like, but I was dead set on specific school districts. Like that's such a big determination of where people are moving and they're at and why they make the decision to move where they are. So you've really dialed in like your avatar, you've dialed in where you want to go. And for those listening in, maybe it's not teaching and that's totally fine. Maybe it's, I've worked with a handful of clients that are advocates for the military. So finding, groups like that, I even seen like lake people. I know Kevin Anderson does lake life type, lifestyle stuff. So finding where you really enjoy it and then just going almost all in. Of course, you can't forget other things like you had mentioned before, but focus in on that. Once you get that clarity and you spill that into your branding, I think that's going to be a true, definition of personal branding. You think about your elements of your professionalism, what obviously real estate agent, this, that, and the other, but then also what makes you unique and your unique abilities that stand out to who you are as a person. When you splice those two together, that's personal branding. And I think you've done a fantastic job doing personal branding within that. And I will finish up all that recap just to say you're absolutely right. I do believe that teachers make the best real estate agents. I'm not a teacher. I will go ahead and say that I'm not a teacher. But, you look at people like Mary Murphy, who is amazing agent, who leads an awesome team, but she was a teacher before real estate. And I think that that's like kind of that natural, you have to have patience. You have to educate buyers. You have to educate sellers. You have to educate your team. And you have to know when to put the gas down and then when to kind of slow down. And I think teachers just have that ability built into them in their DNA that a lot of us don't have.
Yeah. And, they deal with a lot of different kinds of people and everybody thinks their child's wonderful because they are. I hope everybody thinks that. And everybody doesn't always accept blame when their child did something that they shouldn't have done. And think about buyers and sellers we deal with. Think about situations in our lives where we have to have extra patience. And that's a teacher, at heart. I come from a family of teachers and all of my aunts have stayed teachers, that a lot of them became principals. And if I hadn't become a team leader, I think that's exactly what I would have done to lead people and make a difference in people's lives. But, I agree with that branding aspect. I think a lot of agents make the mistake that they should be everywhere or be all things to all people. And I think the biggest takeaway of us going through some very painful moments of building a team, which anybody who's built a team, if they say they haven't had that, I'd love to talk to them, because there have been just the highlights have been wonderful, but the painful moments are the ones where you're like, okay, God is trying to show me if I'm really meant to do this or not. But I don't want to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
I want to be all things to a certain person, a certain type of person that aligns with what we are doing, and being okay with knowing that not everybody out there you're not going to be for everybody. Man, that's a great feeling.
It leaves room for the people who you enjoy working with. Like, for instance, for me, who I did not enjoy working with as a real estate agent was investors. To drive around all town to show them $40,000 homes in Lawton
and lowball it,
and then to lowball it to 30,000, 20,000. I'm just like, this is not for me. However, there was a girl in the office that was her honeypot. Like, she would work with those investors, obviously work with them, and they flipped it, everything else. But to me, I was like, I'm about to lose my mind if I have to show another like HUD home. So just understanding that, like you said, it's okay not to be all things for all people, because when you're for everybody, who are you for? You're for nobody. Yeah. And once you really kind of dial that in, it's amazing to see when you start throwing that out there, what you start attracting. So like for you, getting involved in the school system, getting involved with teachers. Well, you love working with teachers. And you had just said a lot of people, even on your, not only as clients, but as team members, you attract that caregiving, that caregiver role into it. And I think that that's so awesome to hear, because if you had somebody coming in that was dominant, that was aggressive, that was not very empathetic, I'm sure they would stand out like a sore thumb in your team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're not.
Yeah, they leave.
Yeah.
They go down the street. I'm like, love ya, mean it. Come back anytime, but
yeah,
maybe not.
But not a culture fit. And I think that that's so key and I think that's part of one of the many elements is why you are a successful leader in the real estate industry, is because you have that high level awareness, not only for yourself, but for your team. And then you also know who's a good fit and who's not a good fit. And I think people just need to really sit down. And if you guys are thinking about growing a team, or if you're in infant stages, ask yourself, what are my core values? What are the team core values? Do we have core values? Start there. I know Darren Hardy has a fantastic exercise. You guys can just Google Darren Hardy compound effect core values exercise. And it's a simple worksheet. That's what we go through. And I'm telling you, it's a game changer once you really start to understand your authentic self and how you perform the best at, and then align with people just as the same.
And I think it changes. I don't think we'll have the same team. I believe the team that got us to 325 units this year will not be the same team that takes us to 600 units next year. It just isn't. I hope it's a lot of the same core people, because they're awesome people. Yeah. But the people you start with are not always necessarily the people you finish with, or that you get to the next stage with. And accepting that, and knowing that they're still a good person and you're still a good person, and that the time you shared together was valuable, and that hopefully you both learned something from it. That's a really awesome place to get to. And I wish somebody had taught me that. And maybe they did, and I wasn't ready to listen at the beginning. But it was a hard thing to learn. And yet it's the most freeing feeling to just know, yeah, that was great. And now we're on to the next phase.
And this might sound a little weird, but one thing I've always told myself, like, I was okay before that person came into my life. I'll be okay afterwards. And it's being at peace. And there's no negative, because at the end of the day, if we have that hatred, we focus so much on revenge, we're going to end up poisoning ourselves with that, because we're too focused on them to be focused in on ourselves. And I think that's key too, in a leadership role, to kind of have that grieving period and then just move on. Be at peace.
Yeah. The more it happens, the more you get used to it. So I would say to a first-year team leader, and your whole team walked out the door, the next time that happens, you'll be way more used to it. No, I'm teasing. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But every time you lose someone, it's painful. And, I think of people that have been on our team. It's not always because it's not a culture fit. Their life changed. Something changed. And the time they served here was done. And I see it so much now from the place of, I got the opportunity to impact their life.
Yeah.
Whether or not they acknowledge it, doesn't really matter. I know that I put my best foot forward in helping them build a career. And if I get to see them go on and sell a lot of real estate, I'll know that I got to play a small role in that. And that is, I'm all the better for it, because why else am I doing this?
Yeah.
I think about that a lot. Like, if I was doing this for the money, yes, we all work for money, but it's too hard to run a big team with a lot of different personalities if you're just in it for the money. You have to be in it to impact people. And if you're not, I don't know how you could get up every day and do it again. It wouldn't be fun. So
Yeah, I agree completely. And always too, keep in mind, like, try to leave them in a better place than when they arrived to you.
Yeah.
Whatever skill set, whatever mindset, even if it was just a book that you had them read and that changed their life, you just never know what someone's going through. And you're so spot on too. It's not like not everyone just leaves just because of more money. They have life changes, whatever. But I think that's good to have that awareness of, this is the possibility. And to me, reading the book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, was a game changer for me, because it really had you accept, things like that. So for those listening in, I'd highly recommend you guys go read that book, because it's just fantastic. It's by Dale Carnegie. But anyways, Michelle, I appreciate you being on, girl. You dropped so many nuggets. I appreciate your realness, just open book. For everyone listening in, what's the best way for them to connect with you, follow you? I know you're doing some cool stuff in marketing, and kind of watch what you're doing, because you guys, here's the deal. Don't reinvent the wheel. Watch successful people and then implement it in your own way. So what's the best way for everyone to follow you and connect?
Absolutely. On Facebook, I'm Michelle Humes, and on YouTube, the same, Michelle Humes. On Instagram, I'd love for you to follow me at Michelle Whitmer Humes. That's my old name. It's Witmer. You can find me there. And yeah, if you DM me there and there's anything I can help you with, I'm happy to do that. I love seeing other people succeed and not having to make as many failures as potentially I did, because I just help them, give them a tool. I would love to, nothing more than to do that. It makes me really, really happy.
Absolutely. Everyone, make sure you go and take her up on that generous offer of connecting with her. Appreciate you, girl, for being on. Again, thank you so much for sharing and just being real. Before I let you go, is there anything else you want to close out this episode with?
No, I'm just thrilled to be here, Holly. Thank you so much for having me. John, you missed out. I mean, girl power over here. We'll teach him to travel. I'm kidding. No, I just think that we all don't know how much time we have on this earth. I think, I didn't even share with you. I had a real life altering experience. I got really sick 5 years ago. And I hate for that to happen to anyone else, but it does change your life when you realize that we aren't all promised a long time, right? And just to make it count, some of these things we talked about, that in the moment, it feels like such a big deal.
Yeah.
It feels like the world is ending when their top producer walks out the door. And yet, if it's not going to matter in a year or 5 years, just don't sweat it, and just keep shining and keep smiling. And at the end of the day, that's all you can do. So I just really enjoyed spending time with you today. Thanks for having me again.
My gosh, such a great last words to share with everyone. Absolutely. We are not guaranteed tomorrow. So making sure you guys don't sweat the small stuff. And Michelle, again, just a million thanks and so much gratitude for you being on here. And everyone, we will catch you next week on Expert Mentors. I will catch you guys on the other side. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Holly. Bye, guys.